It's been a fascinating journey from what was one of the most deprived areas of London, in fact probably one of the most deprived areas of the UK, which was in an absolutely appalling state, onto the preparation for the Olympics, and then now of course the exciting move into legacy. And one of the things that was so remarkable about it is that right from those days 13 years ago in 2003, the master plans for the Olympic programme and the legacy were being progressed in parallel.
We are really ideally placed to focus investment and attention on an area of London that has already been previously mentioned, has fallen behind the rest of London in terms of many of the recognised indicators of social, economic and health success, in fact. We're building on a legacy, not just the legacy of the Olympic Games, but the legacy of the thought and endeavour that went into putting this project together way back in the early 2000s. And so one of the great things about taking this project on has been that there is a golden thread that has run throughout the entire Olympic project, and it really has been based around thinking about what the future of this area should look like.
I guess as engineers, it's our job to plan and design for future change, be it potential shocks or stresses or vulnerabilities. I think we need to accept that we need to be flexible when we're talking to clients, authorities and developers, because the future simply isn't always clear.
Essentially what we're doing is really prioritising, having a robust framework to prioritise how our cities and developers are protected as we move to the future. And this is something we're actually implementing on our projects now within BuroHappold. And we're looking at sort of short, medium, long-term propositions. We're looking at vulnerability reduction, but we're also looking at that community engagement and looking at sort of policy level decisions as well. So our methodology actually starts with really defining what this risk is, and we call this resilience demand, but essentially it's a risk calculation. It's looking at really broadly the whole range, so from health through to infrastructure issues, through to natural hazards, security hazards, societal hazards, technological hazards, and really understanding the risk of each of those and judging it against each other so that we can really see which are really the key issues.
So it was really great to hear from the experts about the long-term planning for the legacy of the Olympic Park, and I think one of the takeaway parts for me was thinking about how we can incorporate decisions about resilience into all sorts of different projects looking into the future, so both the short term and what is relevant for those sorts of projects, and also long-term projects and what the key resilience priorities are.
What's been most interesting about this evening, I think, is certainly as an architect, one's always trying to think larger than the project. But on a project like this, which is beyond an individual building, beyond even the Olympic Park, because it extends so much into a whole area of London, the economic drivers, the sustainability drivers are so rich to properly discuss. And what's continuously surprising to me about the Olympics and its legacy is that it's had the right level of thinking. And it's great this evening to hear from Jennifer at the LLTC right through the Bureau's Appold team, the different scales of thinking right up to cities and then how cities relate to one another and dealing with issues that challenge that and the resilience.
It was really interesting seeing the process of the development of the Olympic Park site and how they considered the long-term future of the project in terms of resilience and sustainability.
There's a shift in the thinking now. People are starting to think not just about compliance and how we comply with current standards for planning or for building regulations. They're starting to think about how buildings actually perform in practice over the medium term, and then actually what's the long-term resilience of a development.